Zoe stood by the window of Marcus's rooftop bakery, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Marcus, a renowned pastry chef whose confections made people weep with delight, had planned a romantic evening, candles flickering on small tables, rose petals leading the way, and the sweet smell of vanilla and cinnamon drifting in the air. Yet Zoe felt trapped. She had thought love would be gentle, but Marcus's constant gifts, his hourly texts, and his unwavering praise felt more like chains than comfort. "You're perfect," he said, holding her hands as if to freeze the moment forever. But Zoe shook her head, tears gathering in her eyes. "That's just it," she whispered. "You're too perfect." She spoke of how every day felt pre-planned, every smile too rehearsed. She admitted feeling stifled, as if she'd forgotten how to breathe on her own. Marcus, stunned, searched her face for clues. How could love this tender become a prison? His brow furrowed, he ventured, "Is love not enough?" Zoe gave a small, hollow laugh. "I crave conflict," she confessed. "I need to feel alive, to fight and then make up." Her words fell like stones between them. Marcus backed away, hurt radiating from him. His pastries couldn't sweeten this bitterness. The night ended with a door softly closing, leaving candles half-burned and Zoe alone with her unanswered longing and newfound emptiness, a space where love was too clean, too pristine, and too lethal in its perfection. Across town, Mia slumped in the cramped break room of a startup marketing firm. She ran her fingers through her tangled hair, reflecting on her own relationship with Leo, a freelance photographer with wandering eyes and delayed commitments. They had been together for over 4 years, and Mia's heart ached each time Leo postponed plans of moving in, of proposing, or even of defining what they were building together. "Don't you want more?" she asked, voice trembling over stale coffee and buzzing fluorescent lights. Leo hunched in the kitchen doorway, a half-eaten pastry in hand. "I'm not ready," he said simply. His words felt like nails scratching a record, unclear and grating. Mia recalled the dramatic highs of their early days, rooftop shoots at dawn, impromptu road trips with the wind whipping past. But now, everything felt stuck on pause. She wanted sparks, friction, growth, anything to break the stagnant air between them. Leo shrugged and escaped back to his studio, leaving Mia to swallow her resentment alongside the last drop of her bitter brew. As she stared at the peeling paint on the walls, she wondered if Leo's fear of change was slowly killing her love. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Mia and Leo, the same sky stretched over Marcus's bakery and Zoe's silent apartment, tying their separate heartbreaks together in one sorrowful tapestry of modern love and its illusions. Late one afternoon, Ethan wandered into Clara's small bookshop, The Gentle Owl, seeking refuge from the city's noise. He had recently ended a relationship that felt too safe, too predictable, an echo of Zoe's predicament, though his breakup stemmed from his own collapse under perfection's weight. Clara, whose career as an elementary school teacher grounded her in patience and care, noticed Ethan's despondent gaze as soon as he crossed the threshold. "First time here?" she asked, voice soft like a lullaby. Ethan shook his head, scanning shelves of novels that promised adventure, mystery, or romance. She led him to a table laden with recommended reads, but Ethan's mind drifted back to the crisp white dress his ex had worn on their last date, and the flawless way she moved. He confessed to Clara that he feared intimacy, that he equated love's intensity with chaos. Clara listened, stirring a cup of tea as steam curled upward like a question. "Sometimes," she said, "we confuse too much attention with suffocation." Her insight hit Ethan like a breeze breaking over the ocean. They talked until the sun set, sharing stories of lost trust and the hunger for drama that could spring from silence. As darkness fell and the city lights blinked alive, Ethan realized that Clara's warmth wasn't a trap but an invitation, to risk imperfection, to breathe freely, and to discover what lay beyond the suffocating veneer of faultless love. In the small courtyard behind the Gentle Owl, bowls of jasmine tea and plates of fresh pastries became a cultural bridge for Clara and Ethan. Each evening, they met after closing time, sitting beneath golden lanterns that glowed like lost fireflies. As they sipped and shared, the tea's gentle bitterness mirrored their guarded hearts. Clara spoke of her family's traditions, how food in her culture was woven into every celebration, every sorrow, every secret. Ethan recounted childhood memories of his grandmother's kitchen, where the aroma of stewed spices promised solace even on the darkest days. Over steaming cups and crumbs of shortbread, they felt a growing connection, a mutual recognition of hunger, not just for meals but for understanding and closeness. Yet beneath their budding friendship, subtle tensions flickered. Clara hesitated to reveal a secret she'd kept from everyone, a missing sister whose disappearance had fractured her family. Ethan, for his part, struggled with jealousy when other patrons in the courtyard laughed and leaned in close to Clara. Their conversations, once calm, now carried the weight of unspoken fears. The pastries cooled as the night deepened, and both wondered, could food truly bind hearts, or would the complexity of their own past seep into every spoonful, spoiling the sweetness before it even touched their lips? Meanwhile, Mia found herself drawn not to Leo, but to her coworker, Aaron. He was the office janitor by day and an aspiring poet by night. His verses spoke of longing and light, of love that burned brightly yet left room to breathe. One afternoon, Aaron delivered cleaning supplies to Mia's desk, noticing her gloom. He offered her a battered notebook filled with scribbled lines. In broken spaces we find new shapes and in silence, we learn to speak. The words pierced Mia's fatigue. They began to share lunches, him with a simple sandwich, her with leftover noodles, sitting on the hidden steps behind the building. As they ate, Mia tasted the freedom of unguarded conversation, the thrill of shared secrets. But guilt gnawed at her. Was she betraying Leo by laughing at Aaron's jokes, by savoring the thrill of something new? When Leo finally asked to meet at their favorite cafe, Mia realized her heart no longer fluttered at his arrival. She cancelled, leaving him stranded under the cafe's awning. His confusion turned to hurt, but Mia felt only clarity. She was ready for a love that welcomed shadows and light alike, not one sterilized by perfection. With Aaron, she found uncertainty that blossomed with possibility, a drama of two hearts daring to risk and to heal. As Clara and Ethan's bond deepened, they decided to cook together one rainy evening. Clara chose a traditional stew, hearty root vegetables simmered in spiced broth, while Ethan insisted on baking honey-glazed cornbread, a recipe passed down from his grandmother. The kitchen, Clara's sanctuary, filled with warmth and laughter as they chopped, stirred, and tasted. Yet when Clara reached for a hidden jar of powdered spice, a secret gift from her missing sister, her hand trembled. Ethan watched her back stiffen, the stew bubbling over the pot's rim. "What is it?" he asked quietly. Clara confessed the truth. Her sister vanished after a falling out with their parents years ago. Shame and sorrow had silenced Clara's pleas and eroded her family's trust. Ethan felt the weight of her confession settle between them. He revealed his own buried secret, guilt over ghosting his ex, a betrayal that still haunted his dreams. Their shared kitchen suddenly felt too small for the confessions that needed space. The temperature rose, and fear pulsed through Clara's veins. Would her past ruin the only safe connection she had? Would Ethan flee like she feared? As the stove's flames danced, they faced a choice, to let secrets burn their fragile bond or to tend the fire and forge something stronger from the ashes of their pasts. In a sleek downtown restaurant, Zoe and Marcus's paths crossed again. Zoe, restless and seeking distraction, sat alone at a bar, nibbling on crispy plantain chips. Marcus, finishing a pastry demonstration, noticed her silhouette under the dim lights. He approached, offering a small eclair, his signature creation, as a peace offering. Zoe hesitated, tasting the delicate chocolate shell that melted on her tongue. For a moment, they existed in shared ritual, a dance of taste and memory. But old wounds surfaced. Zoe asked why Marcus hadn't texted every hour since their breakup. Marcus revealed that he had tried to give her space, that he misread her plea for freedom as indifference. Zoe's eyes softened, but only slightly. She realized that their love had been a tangle of miscommunication. She craved drama, he craved assurance, and neither spoke plainly. As they talked, patrons hovered between tables, unaware of the tension in Zoe's trembling voice. The restaurant's polished surfaces reflected fractured images of two people who once fit together like puzzle pieces but now felt jagged and incomplete. When the final eclair crumb vanished, Zoe stood to leave. Marcus reached for her hand, but she slipped away, leaving him alone with the emptiness of an unfinished story. Back at the Gentle Owl, Clara and Ethan sat in silence, the stew growing cool on the stove. Ethan finally spoke. Secrets are like spices, you can't hide them, but you can choose how much you add. Clara's eyes filled with tears, equal parts relief and fear. She asked if he still wanted to be with her, knowing her life was laced with sorrow and questions. Ethan took her hand, tasting the salt of her tears as if it were another flavor to discover. I want all of you, he said. The sweet, the bitter, and everything in between. They embraced, sealing their vow in a silence that now felt safe, nurturing a fragile trust. Outside, rain tapped at the windows, a rhythmic applause for their courage. In that moment, they learned that love wasn't only about perfect moments, it was about leaning into the storm together, about stirring the pot until every ingredient revealed its true essence. Mia sat at her desk the next morning, heart fluttering as Aaron's notebook lay open beside her keyboard. He had scribbled a new line, in shared crumbs we build a home. She smiled, feeling hope ignite in her chest. At break time, she joined Aaron behind the building steps, where he surprised her with 2 cups of steaming soup. They ate in companionable silence, the world beyond their small refuge blurring into insignificance. Mia knew the road ahead would twist with uncertainty, lean months when Aaron's poetry failed to sell, his doubts threatening to overshadow their nascent joy. But she welcomed the unknown, ready to taste every emotion, good and bad, rather than numb perfection. She leaned toward Aaron, spoon halfway to her lips, and whispered, I'm in. He grinned, and in that shared vow, they found the drama and depth they had both craved. One evening, Clara received a letter, a faint scan of her sister's handwriting, postmarked weeks after the disappearance. Her sister, Lyra, was alive and living in a coastal town dozens of miles away. The letter detailed her regrets, the betrayal that led to her departure, and her longing for forgiveness. Clara's hands shook as she read, tears blurring the ink. Ethan, sensing her turmoil, offered to accompany her on the journey to reunite with Lyra. They packed a simple lunch, cheese, crackers, fresh fruit, and packed their fears alongside. As they boarded the bus heading toward the uncertain horizon, Clara realized that the stew they once cooked had prepared her soul for this voyage, a blend of courage, trust, and the willingness to face old ghosts. Ethan squeezed her hand as the city lights faded behind them. Ahead lay the unknown shores of hope, where broken families could mend, and new love could anchor itself in shared vulnerability. Together, they set off, hearts brimming with suspense and possibility, ready to taste every flavor life would serve. Moral of the story is that true love isn't about perfection but about embracing both light and shadow, accepting each other's imperfections and allowing the relationship to grow stronger through honesty and understanding. When we communicate openly and give one another room to breathe, we avoid the suffocating extremes of both overbearing devotion and painful neglect. By sharing our secrets and burdens, we build deeper trust and prevent unspoken truths from boiling over. And though conflict and uncertainty may feel unsettling, they can spark growth when met with empathy, turning challenges into opportunities for connection. Ultimately, it is through vulnerability, leaning on family and friendship, speaking our truths, and journeying together through the unknown, that we heal wounds and discover the fullest, most authentic expressions of love. If you enjoyed this story, kindly like, share, and subscribe to Tales by Gemini Bay for more captivating stories. Don't forget to click the bell icon to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts about the story in the comments section and check out our other videos for more interesting stories and adventures. See you in the next one.